All right, let's dive into this Indian real estate report you sent, this Knight Frank report. Looks like it covers both residential and commercial real estate trends across some key Indian cities. Should be interesting whether you're, thinking about investing or buying a home, or just curious about this whole booming market we hear so much about.
Yeah, it really does look at all of that, and it does paint a very optimistic picture overall.
Okay, great.
The market's been on like this upward trajectory since like 2020, fueled by strong economic growth, of course, and just a surge in demand, really, particularly for like premium properties. You'll see that throughout the report.
Yeah, I did see right off the bat, they say annual residential sales volumes have jumped a whopping 23% per year, on average since 2020.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, what's driving that kind of growth?
Well, I think a couple things are at play here. During the pandemic lockdowns, people actually saw an increase in their savings.
Yeah.
Kind of counterintuitive.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Coupled with, minimal income disruption.
Yeah.
Especially in the mid to high income brackets.
Yeah.
So there's just, there's more money available, right, to invest in real estate.
Makes sense.
And then you add on top of that a growing desire for, larger, more luxurious living spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I'm seeing this theme of like premiumization.
Yes.
That the report highlights. It's not just like more sales. It's a shift towards those higher priced properties.
Exactly. And it's not just a small shift either.
Okay.
Residential units over 10 million Indian rupees now make up a massive 46% of the total sales. So this segment, really, it's the engine driving the overall market growth.
Wow. Does that suggest like a widening wealth gap? Or is it more about a specific demographic that's driving this whole trend?
Probably a little bit of both, honestly.
Yeah.
Rising incomes, a desire for, upgraded lifestyles, definitely factors. But it also reflects, I think, the growing aspirations of India's middle class, who see homeownership as like a key marker of success and financial security.
Okay, so we have this big picture of a booming market, but I think to really understand how these trends are playing out, we need to zoom in on a few cities.
I agree.
The report covers a lot, but Mumbai, Bengaluru, and Ahmedabad seem like pretty interesting case studies, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Each city offers a unique lens, I think, through which to view the diverse dynamics of the Indian real estate landscape. So maybe we can start with Mumbai. Seems like it's always at the forefront of real estate trends.
Yeah, for sure. The report mentions Mumbai hit a 13-year high in residential sales in 2024 with an 11% year-on-year growth.
Huge jump.
Yeah, big time. What's fueling that kind of demand in a city that's already known for its high property prices?
Well, infrastructure plays a big role.
Okay.
New projects like the Mumbai Coastal Road and those expanded metro lines are improving connectivity, and they're making those previously less desirable areas more appealing.
Right.
So we're seeing a lot of new development happening in the peripheral areas, which are now easier to get to.
That makes sense. Yeah, improved infrastructure can make a big difference in a city like Mumbai, I imagine.
Absolutely. Commuting can be such a pain point there. And developers, are really capitalizing on this, creating these residential projects that cater to buyers who are looking for more space, right? A better quality of life, but without the sky-high prices of the city center.
So it's like Mumbai is expanding its boundaries.
Yeah.
Creating these new hotspots for residential growth.
Precisely. And this trend is likely to continue as the city invests in infrastructure projects that connect, its outer areas to the heart of Mumbai's economic activity.
That's a good segue to Bengaluru, another city experiencing rapid growth, particularly in its northern cluster. The report specifically mentions the area around the airport and new economic zones.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about North Bengaluru is the type of development we're seeing. Premium villas, plotted developments. They're attracting those high-income buyers who are drawn to, the exclusivity.
Yeah.
And those larger living spaces that this area offers.
So it's not just about affordability, it's about a certain lifestyle.
Yes.
Maybe even a sense of community that these developments offer. It's almost like they're like creating these mini cities within the city.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the evolving preferences of these home buyers, who are seeking more than just a place to live.
Right.
They want a sense of belonging, a curated environment that reflects their aspirations and values.
Okay, so then we have Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
This one stood out to me because the report states it has the lowest per square foot residential prices
Okay.
among the top 8 markets.
Interesting.
Now, considering the overall trend of premiumization
Yeah.
we've been talking about, that seems a bit surprising, doesn't it?
It is interesting. But even in Ahmedabad, we see a shift towards those higher ticket size segments. The segment with units priced over 10 million rupees has grown to 22% of sales, up from 16% just a year ago.
So even in a relatively more affordable market like Ahmedabad,
Yeah,
buyers are still gravitating towards those higher-end properties.
they are.
Does that mean affordability is becoming less of a factor,
No.
even outside the major metros?
It's not that affordability isn't a factor.
Okay.
It's more about the changing aspirations and priorities of home buyers.
Yeah.
They're willing to stretch their budgets for features like larger living spaces, better amenities, and a sense of exclusivity
Right.
that comes with those properties.
And Ahmedabad's residential market is bouncing back strongly. After that pandemic slowdown, the report says annual home sales reached a 10-year high in 2024.
Yeah. It's the pandemic-induced dip was temporary. I think the underlying strength of Ahmedabad's economy, coupled with its growing reputation
Yeah.
as like a business and industrial hub, is attracting new residents and driving demand for housing.
So it seems like this premiumization trend is playing out across these different cities, even those with varying price points.
It is, yeah.
It's definitely a reflection of the changing dynamics of the Indian real estate market.
Yeah,
and now all this residential growth
Right.
is also impacting the commercial sector.
It is, yeah.
People need places to work, right? So what's the story on the office real estate side? I mean, are we seeing the same kind of boom there?
Yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right. A thriving residential market, kind of goes hand in hand with a strong commercial sector. And speaking of strong, 2024 was a record-breaking year for office transactions in India.
Oh, wow.
Transaction volumes topped a staggering 71.9 million square feet.
That's massive, especially when you consider all the talk about, remote work and the death of the office we keep hearing about in other parts of the world. Why is India bucking the trend?
It's an interesting divergence.
Yeah.
Remote working didn't really gain the same level of traction in India as it did in, say, the U.S. or Europe.
Okay.
Cultural factors play a role for sure.
Yeah.
But also, many companies here are actively encouraging their employees to come back to the office.
Interesting.
They see the value in that face-to-face collaboration and, just fostering a strong company culture.
Makes sense. The report specifically calls out global capability centers, those GCCs, as major players in this whole office market boom. Can you remind me again what GCCs are and why they're having such a big impact?
Sure. Think of GCCs as these specialized hubs set up by multinational companies to handle, specific functions like IT, finance, engineering, or research.
Right.
They leverage India's skilled workforce and cost advantages to, streamline their global operations.
So it's not just Indian companies fueling this office market growth, it's also global companies setting up shop here.
Exactly. And as these GCCs expand, they need more office space, which is a significant contributor to these, record-breaking transaction volumes we're seeing.
And the report also pointed to the rise of flex spaces, noting a 52% year-on-year increase. That's a pretty clear sign that companies are looking for more flexible workplace solutions, right?
Absolutely. Flex spaces aren't just about temporary or shared workspaces. It's about creating a more dynamic and agile work environment that caters to the evolving needs of a modern workforce.
So it's about offering choices like open plan layouts for team collaboration, private booths for focused work, informal lounge areas for brainstorming. Companies can kind of customize their workspaces to suit their specific needs.
That's a great way to put it. And this trend is reflected in the report's analysis of average deal sizes. While those traditional office leases are still common, there's a growing preference for smaller, more tailored spaces.
So companies are being more strategic about their office space, focusing on quality over quantity. I imagine this is especially true for those GCCs and India-facing businesses that are known for their, agile and adaptable operations.
Exactly. They're not necessarily looking for those sprawling headquarters, but rather, efficient, flexible spaces that can accommodate their evolving needs. The report actually provided a breakdown of average deal sizes by city, which highlights this trend.
Oh, that's interesting. What did it show?
Well, in NCR, the average deal size for traditional office leases was around 0.65 million square feet. But in Hyderabad, a major tech hub, the average was considerably smaller, around 0.49 million square feet.
Interesting.
This suggests that companies in Hyderabad might be opting for a more distributed office model, perhaps with multiple smaller offices spread across the city.
It's fascinating how different cities adapt to these changing dynamics, and it sounds like the lines between office and non-office are blurring.
Work is becoming more integrated into our lives. We're seeing this surge in the popularity of co-working spaces, serviced offices, and even hybrid models that combine, traditional and flexible elements. And this trend is likely to continue as technology advances and work styles evolve.
Okay, so we've talked about those big picture trends and the key players, but what's happening in some of the emerging markets? What can you tell me about Ahmedabad and Chennai, for example?
Let's start with Ahmedabad. Traditionally, it's had a smaller office market compared to the major metros, but it's experiencing steady growth.
What's fueling that growth? Is it also driven by GCCs?
GCCs do play a role, but there's another interesting factor at play in Ahmedabad. The establishment of the IFSCA, the International Financial Services Centers Authority in 2020, is drawing businesses and investment to the city.
That's right, the IFSCA, I remember reading about that. It's basically a special economic zone for financial services, right?
Exactly. It's designed to attract international businesses and investment, and Ahmedabad is where they set up shop.
So it's creating a whole new hub for financial services, driving demand for office space.
Precisely. And within Ahmedabad, there's a specific area called Gift City, Gujarat International Finance Tech City, that's attracting a lot of attention.
Gift City. Okay, so Gift City is like a city within a city specifically designed for businesses. What makes it so attractive?
Gift City has invested heavily in creating a world-class infrastructure, coupled with, business-friendly policies and a strong focus on sustainability. It's quickly becoming a hotspot for office space in Ahmedabad.
That's really interesting. It sounds like Ahmedabad's office market is one to watch. Now, what about Chennai? The report mentioned Chennai's office market had a 25% year-on-year decline in absorption volume. Is that a sign of a slowdown?
Not necessarily. 2023 was an exceptional year for Chennai's office market with record-high leasing activity, so 2024's figures might simply represent a normalization rather than a slowdown.
So more of a course correction than a sign of weakness. Yeah.
Exactly. Chennai's office market is still very strong, bolstered by a robust economy, a skilled workforce, and lower occupancy costs compared to other major cities.
This is all fascinating stuff, but it's a lot to take in. What I'm really trying to understand are the underlying forces driving these trends. What are the bigger picture factors that are shaping the Indian real estate landscape?
Yeah, we have. It is a lot to take in, but
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's important to kind of zoom out
Yeah.
and consider those larger forces that are shaping the market. It's like understanding the currents before you jump in the ocean, right?
Yeah, exactly. A good analogy to really grasp, I think, the dynamics of the Indian real estate market. We need to look beyond just those, immediate trends and consider the economic, demographic, and technological shifts that are underway.
Right.
So, okay, let's start with the economic factors. I mean, we know India has been one of the fastest growing economies globally.
It has been, yeah.
How is that growth impacting the real estate sector specifically?
Well, economic growth fuels demand, plain and simple. As the economy expands, we see more jobs created, incomes rising, obviously, and a greater desire for those upgraded living and working spaces. This is especially true in sectors like technology, right? Finance, manufacturing. They're attracting those major investments.
And that ties back to this premiumization trend we discussed earlier, right?
Right.
That more disposable income
Yeah.
means people are willing to spend more on those higher quality properties.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about individuals either.
Yeah.
Companies. They're also investing in, better office spaces to attract and retain top talent.
Yeah, it's competitive.
It is.
You got to have those perks.
Yeah, they recognize that a well-designed, well-equipped workspace is key.
Yeah. Okay, so economic growth is driving demand. What about demographics? I mean, India has a very young population.
Right.
With a lot of millennials and Gen Z entering the workforce.
Yeah.
How's that impacting the market?
Well, this younger generation
Mhm.
has different expectations and preferences. They're tech savvy,
Mobile.
focused on, experiences more than, previous generations. They're also more likely to rent, at least initially. So that's driving demand for rental properties, particularly in those, urban areas. And we're also seeing the growth of like co-living spaces,
Right.
which cater to this desire for a more community-oriented and flexible living arrangement.
Makes sense. So we've got economic growth driving demand, a young and dynamic population shaping preferences. What about technology? How is that impacting the Indian real estate sector?
Oh, technology is playing a huge role.
Okay.
It's transformative, really.
Okay.
Both for buyers and sellers. On the buyer side, it's all about empowerment.
Okay.
Platforms like, Magic Bricks, 99 Acres, Housing.com have revolutionized the way people search for and transact in real estate.
Yeah.
They can research, compare prices, take virtual tours even, all at their fingertips.
Yeah, that's such a contrast to how things used to be.
I know.
It's incredible how much information is, readily available.
It's all right there. And for developers and landlords, technology offers better property management tools, smart home technologies.
Yeah.
And ways to, streamline operations, enhance the overall living and working experience.
So technology is making the market more accessible, efficient, and customer-centric.
It is.
Sounds like those who haven't embraced this whole digital transformation are going to be left behind.
Yeah, it's a game changer, that's for sure. And this trend will only accelerate as technologies like AI, virtual reality, blockchain, become more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And integrated into the real estate ecosystem.
Okay, so we have economic growth, a young population, and those technological advancements all kind of converging to shape the market.
They are.
That's a lot to consider. What about the future? What are some of the key opportunities and challenges that lie ahead?
Predicting the future is always tricky, especially in a market as dynamic as India's. But there's some clear trends emerging, I think. On the positive side, continued economic growth remains the biggest opportunity. As long as India's economy thrives, demand for real estate will likely remain strong.
And we talked about, foreign investment with those GCCs.
Right.
International investors looking to, capitalize on this growth.
Right, exactly. And that foreign capital brings more than just money.
Okay.
It introduces expertise and innovation, which can help raise the standards of the Indian real estate sector.
Yeah, that makes sense. The report also pointed to specific areas with high growth potential, like warehousing and logistics.
Yeah, the rise of e-commerce is fueling that demand.
Right.
We're seeing a rise in specialized facilities, cold storage, fulfillment centers, catering to these, online retailers. And let's not forget about data centers. India's digital economy is exploding.
That's right.
Which means a huge demand for data storage and processing.
Right.
That translates
into
real estate development, both in cities and in rural areas.
Wow. So it sounds like the real estate sector is becoming more diverse and specialized.
It is, yeah. And then there's the, untapped potential of smaller cities and towns with, improved infrastructure, connectivity. These areas are becoming more attractive for businesses and residents alike.
Yeah, it's like spreading out.
It is.
That growth.
Yeah.
So the opportunities are definitely out there.
They are.
But what about the challenges?
Sure.
What are some of the headwinds the Indian real estate market might face?
Well, affordability is a big one. As as property prices keep rising, especially in those major cities, homeownership becomes a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is something, policymakers and developers need to address, perhaps by focusing on, more affordable housing options or exploring alternative construction methods.
And we can't forget about rising interest rates, right?
Right.
Which impact both developers and buyers.
Higher borrowing costs.
Yeah.
Can slow down that construction activity.
Yeah.
Potentially worsen the supply-demand imbalance.
Yeah.
And push prices up even further.
Right.
It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, for sure. The report also mentioned the complexity of regulations. Navigating approvals and permits can be a headache for developers, adds to costs and delays.
Absolutely. That's where the government could, step in.
Right.
Streamline that process, create a more predictable, transparent regulatory environment.
Yeah.
Another challenge is the growing need for sustainability.
Right.
There's increasing pressure for the real estate sector to become more environmentally friendly.
Yeah, it's not just about constructing green buildings anymore.
Right.
It's about considering the entire life cycle. Yeah. From energy consumption to waste management.
Exactly. Green building certifications.
Yeah.
And those smart building technologies are becoming more and more critical.
So we've got affordability, financing, regulations and
Yeah.
sustainability, all major challenges.
For the Indian real estate market to grapple with in the years ahead.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. But I remain optimistic about the Indian real estate sector. The industry is becoming more professional, more sophisticated. There's a lot of innovation, design and technology, and there's a growing awareness, I think, of the need for sustainability and social responsibility, which is encouraging.
Okay, so what are the key takeaways for our listener today? What should they keep in mind as they kind of navigate this dynamic market?
Sure. I think there's a few points to consider. One, the Indian real estate market is dynamic, full of opportunities, but also faces challenges. Two, understanding the economic, demographic, and technological forces at play is crucial. Three, adaptability and innovation are key to success for both developers and investors. And four, sustainability and social responsibility are essential for long-term growth and value creation.
Great summary. We explored a lot, but this is just the starting point, right? We encourage you to continue your research and stay informed.
Yes. And if you're eager to go even deeper, I highly recommend checking out the full Knight Frank report. It's chock full of insights that can, help you make more informed real estate decisions.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it valuable and insightful. Until next time, happy investing and happy house hunting.